everyone for staying with us on the program this morning. Like I hinted, we'll be looking at a food crisis and effort being made by government at this point to ameliorate the suffering. I'm joined by James Ugochukwu, election analyst and good governance advocate, who doubles as Executive Director, African Center for Entrepreneurship and Information Development. James, thank you for coming on Global Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure the viewers still recognize you now without your hat on. All right, so I want us to start from this directive that was issued, has been issued to the customs authorities. On Saturday, the customs CG, Dewale Adeni, told Nigerians that President Tinubu has given a directive that food items seized from traders or those who one would have thought were smugglers should be released back to them. And we are made to understand that this is an effort by the federal government to boost food sufficiency in light of the hardship that is ongoing. How much of sense does that make right now?
Well, I think if you recall in July 2023 when the government started, they made a pronouncement that there's an emergency on the food, right? And under emergency situation, the president have the prerogative to, restrict some rights, relax some rights, and of course, pardon a lot of things. So he is the head of state and the chief executive of the country. So he has the prerogative to say, okay, I can waive a particular, a violation of the law. Because according to the Export Prohibition Act, what they did is a punishable offense of even life imprisonment. And all their goods, both the food and the trucks and everything should be forfeited to the government. So this is a very large magnanimity
on the part of the
president to allow this thing to say that they should return this thing to them. And of course, it calls to the question why Nigeria should be behaving the way we are behaving. And this is a country that is facing severe food crisis, and the best you can do is to pick the food that is not available to export it to another country. I think that's the reason why that provision, Export Prohibition Act put it that way, that if we are caught, it's life imprisonment. That thing, it won't even be alive to, it won't be available rather to carry out that activity again. So I think it's a good one from the president, because we need the food, and of course, citizens need to have access to what they are being produced, because under the Prohibition Act, it listed some food items like maize, yam tubers, beans, cassava tubers. See, in that they are raw form, they shouldn't be exported. So now what those people did, they know what they are doing, that they are violating the law the way it is, and of course the custom did the right thing by apprehending them, and we should commend the president for actually asking them those items to be returned back to them, because we need the food. So under emergency situation, I think certain provision of the law can be overlooked for the interest of the citizens. So I think that is what the president have just done.
Some kind of waiver.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a condition, or some people say there's a caveat to it. The president says it has to be on the condition that the foods must be sold in Nigeria. In this country, we have heard about how that monies that were recovered, looted funds that were recovered, got relooted. So how are we sure that this will not also, get in the wrong hands, and then there's also some efforts, frantic efforts, that is, to get to export them again? Because from what we are hearing now, these food items are sold at higher prices outside of Nigeria than in Nigeria. And incidentally, and very obviously too, the people behind this trade are profit-oriented in nature. So how much of sense does this make in light of that?
The issue is giving the directives is one thing, and of course oversighting the process, the enforcement process, because we have two set of people here now. The people that seized it, which is the custom, and the traders at their own interest is profit. So we know the country we are living in. So how are we sure that they cannot go at the back door and negotiate with the custom, and these goods will be released to them to re-export again? Like the related fund we are talking about. So we should be watching the body language of the custom and these people to see what they are going to do in the next couple of days. Because I expected the government to, direct some of his apparatus, maybe the security agencies or NEMA or Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, to oversight.
That doesn't have a minister at the moment.
Yes, we'll still have the permanent secretary and the rest to oversight the distribution of this particular food, or to even make it an open something that can be covered by the media that yes, this food is being sold to the public. But this food has been seized, and of course, the owners of this food should be thankful to the president that is giving them their product back so that they will not even lose entirely. So making a transparent process of this selling is very, very important so that the food will get back to, you know, Nigerians, and the cost they sell it to will be very, very important, because the temptation or the attraction to export it could be attributed to the exchange rate that is currently on now. They feel that they can sell it better outside the shores of the country, so they decide to now pull it out there. So now that they have been given the leverage to sell it in the country, of course, they should sell it in such a way that the food crisis to a very large extent will be, you know, ameliorated, and of course, they will still make their gain from it, even though they will not be as much as what they are going to make when they send it outside the country.
That's quite fair enough. But people say, look, there's no smoke without fire. How did we get here in the first instance? They say it was on account of the manner in which fuel subsidy payment was suspended on the 29th of May last year by President Bola Tinubu. This is, what, 9-10 months into this government? Do you think it's high time we started seeing some lights at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I think I've said it severally in this particular program that the removal of fuel subsidy at that particular point is uncalled for. And the way and manner the president did it is uncalled for. And of course, I told that this may likely result to a crisis, if you can recall very well. I've said that.
So these are some of the manifestations?
Yeah, this is manifestation and impact of that statement. Now, having the light on the, at the end of the tunnel is, in fact, this administration needs to fold their sleeve. There are a lot of work they need to do, because a lot of crises trying to encumber them, as we are talking about now. As we are saying, for instance, now this food crisis now, we are just approaching the planting season. So if we should have this level of food crisis at the period to the planting season, what is going to happen at the planting season? Are we going to even expect any harvest at the end of the day? So now the precursor to all these things can be attributed to two things. One, that removal of fuel subsidy, because Nigerian will run on the petroleum economy as it is, because we don't have very good road, we don't have very good transportation system. So by the time you spike the cost of fuel, or yes, the cost of fuel, it will affect the transportation of goods across the country. That is on number one point. The second point is insecurity across the country. We should not forget in a hurry how about 60-something farmers were slaughtered in Maiduguri, not to talk of those that have been displaced from their homestead in Zamfara, not to talk of the area that have been seized by terrorist group that the state does not even have any control of what is going there. They force people to farm and they take the product to God knows where. These are the things that are adding to the food insecurity. And as we still speak, we had a lull at some point where we didn't get any story of insecurity across the country and all that. But in the last 2 weeks now, they've resumed again with spontaneous attack, kidnapping of children in Kaduna, in Sokoto, where did you call this one? In Benue State, as if the whole thing just started to resume again. So if the government doesn't take proactive steps to stop this, so that farmers can go into farming in this particular rainy season that is just 1 or 2 months away, we are going to have worse food crisis by 2025 than what we are experiencing now. Because food is the only thing that you just have to plant it before you get it. It's not like for money that you trade and everything. No matter how you do it, you must till the soil, plant it, and get the food. So the government needs to wake up to ensure that whatever is causing this security crisis needs to be, shut down completely, or else we're in serious crisis.
I've been wondering myself. I've spoken with quite a number of people about state of emergency being declared on food. What does it mean when a government says we have declared state of emergency on food. Is this just a matter of pronouncements?
It goes beyond the mere pronouncement. When you declare state of emergency on food, you should back it up with policies. Although there are certain policies that are being placed. For instance, now the government said that they've subsidized 97% subsidy on farm inputs. That is to say, if you want to go into farm now, if you need seedlings or fertilizer and everything, government is paying up to 97% of it, which is commendable. That means you are just paying only 3% of it. So the implementation of this still boils down to oversighting. Because if government makes, what do you call it now, fertilizer available, and some people are diverting it, you have not changed anything. If government makes tractor available and one minister of agri or commissioner of agri pack them in a warehouse and farmers are not accessing it, they have not achieved anything. So the implementation and oversighting of this pronouncement is very, very important. So when government say that they are declaring emergency on food, it still also implies that whatever is causing those food scarcity should be nipped. As I said before, insecurity. Farmers should be able to go to their farm. Farmers should be able to farm, and herdsmen should not be eating their crops midway or during the harvest. So government need to put a proactive step to stop all these things. So it goes beyond mere pronouncement. Mere pronouncement can be attributed to just wishful thinking. We can want food to be available. It can't be available. We need to make every single effort to ensure that this food is available, and the people that are producing this food are protected from the planting to weeding to harvesting. These farmers need to be protected. And then these farmers too should be given everything they need: fertilizer, equipment, pesticide and the herbicide, and the case may be. All these things need to be approved. In fact, at this particular point now, government should give complete import duty waiver to people in agricultural equipment importation. They shouldn't be allowed to pay should not be allowed to pay any import duty for now, because we are in serious crisis. Fertilizer, all the agri product that we need to import, the government should be able to allow those to, get free entry and clearance at the airport for us to curb this food crisis.
Incidentally, James, the crisis is widespread beyond food and all of that right now. Of course, the Naira dollar issue is another conversation for another day. But we now see this government blaming the Buhari government for being the cause of what we are dealing with right now. Of course, we have categorically seen Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, coming out to say, look, it was the recklessness, some of the actions and inactions of the Buhari government that led here, even though we understand that the Buhari government and the Tinubu government are both products of the APC. Does that say we're back to the blame game again?
Well, blame game has not helped anybody. And for the present government to be laying blame on the past government is ridiculous, in the sense that when you are getting to power, you should be able to read what is happening in the polity before you go there. Just for instance, I want to buy a particular company now. You look at their papers, how have they been performing in the past 3 years? So if you are going to buy that company as a non-performing company, you are not going to go there and be blaming the people that ruined the company. You are going there with a blueprint to right all the wrongs there. You have a new marketing plan, a new marketing strategy, and a new product that are going to launch to boost that company. So you run the country as a corporation. So yes, whatever the Buhari administration have done and everything, you are the one in charge now. So the responsibility is on you. That's why I love what the president said at some point. President Tinubu said that yes, that he takes responsibility for what is happening in the country, which is the way we're supposed to be. You are the head of state, you are the minister of everything. So in your ministry, whatever the other people did not do, write it and put your name in gold as people that right the wrong. Because blaming Buhari government will not help them. The only way you can the only way you can go as form of backward integration is going to that place. If the money appropriated for certain things that is not used, and past ministers stole it and all that, and you have proof, then go and apprehend the person and let the person refund the money so that can do what you need to do. But this blame game needs to stop, because we don't have time. In less than 3 months now, the the administration will be 1 year old. So they should come up with a blueprint to right all the wrongs of the past administration, because it's still their political party and they were part and parcel of that political party. So they saw all these things happening. And of course, they should come up with their own blueprint to stop all these things and move the country forward.
We've seen Labour purportedly coming out to say this is what we are proposing to the federal government as minimum wage going forward. We heard 500,000, we heard 1 million, we heard 400,000, TUC pushing one, NLC pushing the other. However, yesterday, the president of the NLC, Joe Ajero, had come out to say, look, Labour has not decided yet on what it's going to propose to the federal government as new minimum wage. However, he says that those other figures you're seeing, they are at the state level. It's the state chapters of Labour proposing all of those. But one thing is clear going forward. Things will not remain the same again as far as Labour-federal government relations are concerned, particularly as it has to do with minimum wage, which means there's going to be an upward review, whether you like it or not. And Labour is going to apparently propose something way higher than it's currently obtainable. Does that not complicate problems for governments and for the country?
Well, when it comes to the minimum wage, the question we'll be asking is why are they hell-bent on increase?
Because they say the prices of commodities have skyrocketed.
So it's because of the prices of commodities have skyrocketed. So what the government need to do is to see how they can bring down the price. And this popular saying that whatever goes up in Nigeria, that it doesn't come down. That Nigeria,
so gravity does not work in that area.
It doesn't work in Nigeria. But I don't subscribe to that school of thought. Government can do the needful by ensuring that whatever it is that is causing all this will be stopped.
But people say government cannot regulate prices of items.
It's not about regulating prices. It's bringing some kind of policy or some environment around the policy to get this done. Remember in the past segment with me here, I proposed that government should license modular refinery. As we speak now, both the Dangote refinery, both Port Harcourt refinery, they've not produced one single liter of fuel yet. They say they are going to produce, but we've not seen anything. Even
though we're told that by end of December, refinery in Port Harcourt would have been up and running.
Exactly. So all these things didn't work. So it's high time they should stop playing politics with certain things. If petroleum is subsidized, if the price of petroleum is reduced, let me use that language, subsidy is gone. If the price of petroleum is reduced through giving import waiver to a lot of marketers, and of course
to bring in products.
One, then to license modular refinery, especially to produce
locally,
and we can buy petrol for less than 200 naira per liter. Prices of everything will crash. Because we won't blame the person that is increasing the cost of anything. Because if it usually take me 50,000 to transport my consumer good from Lagos to Abuja, and all of a sudden I'm using 300,000 to transport it, you expect me to sell it at the same price. So that's what I mean, that you don't need to say you must sell a particular item for so amount. Make it easy for the person to transport it. Okay, we have the Lagos Kano rail line. How functional is this? I heard that that of Port Harcourt Aba is going to start working now. And that one's supposed to extend up to Maiduguri. So if you have these two railway corridors and you have good roads and you have available energy as in fuel to transport all these things, the prices of all these things will naturally crash. So these are the things that government should focus on as a matter of priority, to see that the prices of these things are crash. Because if you say, okay, we want to be increasing minimum wage, because you increase minimum wage to 2 million per month for each worker, that means for you to go and buy a loaf of bread now, you'll be using up to 5,000 naira for a loaf
or
of
more.
bread or more. So we are going on the path to Zimbabwe, where we'll be carrying a wheelbarrow load of currency to buy something.
Bread.
So the government need to put their thinking cap, consult economic experts that we can, provide solution to all this. It's not unsurmountable. They should be able to know what other countries are doing, and of course borrow a leaf from it and do the same thing.
Last week, former President Olusegun Obasanjo advised the federal government to go learn from Zimbabwe, particularly as it has to do with the weakening of the naira, because he said Zimbabwe had dealt with the same issue and they came out of it. Some experts are saying that the former president goofed on that advice, because according to them, Zimbabwe has not come out of it yet. Besides, they say Zimbabwe and Nigeria do not have the same economic realities. Do you think that advice was apt?
You know, like I said before, I said they should go and learn from other countries. It must not necessarily be
Zimbabwe. But former President Olusegun Obasanjo is very particular about Zimbabwe.
Well, he has his reason for recommending Zimbabwe. We have Venezuela, we have, what do you call it, Ghana here. Ghana city is about 13 Ghana city to $1 as we speak. This is the same Ghana that we are telling them Ghana must go at some point.
The same sub-region.
It's the same sub-region, exactly. Even the CFAs is even has more value in the international market than Naira now. So the question they should be asking themselves is how do we go, or where do we go, and when do we go to learn the blueprint of changing all these narratives, you understand? It's not a rocket science, as I keep on saying. They know exactly what caused it. So this is what caused it. Then how did this thing cause it? Then you start what we call reverse engineering. You reverse it back to this thing. So it just requires a political will on their own part to do that. So it's not a period of us to be raising our shoulders as a giant of Africa, a giant that cannot stand on his lip. We need to swallow the bitter pill and learn from anybody want to learn from to reverse this ugly change. Because if we continue like this now, for Naira to be exchanging to dollar at 4 digits is ridiculous. In less than 9 months after a new administration, it's ridiculous. So whatever is happening to it should be reversed, and the people in government, the economic experts, the central bank governors, and all of them should know what they should do to reverse this particular trend.
Time and again, President Bola Tinubu has advised Nigerians to, 1, be patient with him because he knows what he's doing. 2, he says that the efforts being made by the government under his leadership now may not look very pleasant, may not feel pleasant for Nigerians. But over time, they will see these efforts pay off very handsomely. Do you share that sentiment?
Well, when it comes to that, it's not something to bank on because we are listening to politicians here now. So a politician is not somebody who can take their words to bank.
To the bank, yes.
Exactly.
Because the bank might have even closed by the time you get there.
Exactly. So now, if you recall, I kept referring to putting the cart before the horse. This issue of subsidy removal was badly executed. And that is the origin of all this, what do you call it now, crisis we are going through. Now, putting Nigeria into fire and telling them that, look, stay inside the fire for some time, there's a cool area I'm going to put you to, it's not the way to go. It's not the way to go. Whatever intention you have, Nigerians are not ready to be undergoing through this hardship. And whatever good intention you have, Nigeria will not be able to see it because of the kind of crisis they are in now. And whatever good intention you have, what is the guarantee that is foolproof that is going to get us to that promised land at the end of the day? That is why government need to be very intentional and careful in policy formulation and implementation. Had it been they put their thinking cap very well, they wouldn't have just removed the fuel subsidy on the very first day they are sworn in. At least as of that time, we had about 30 days remaining in the previous fuel subsidy regime. That 30 days would have been enough for them to come together and, of course, come up with a blueprint to say, okay, how do we cushion this effect of fuel subsidy removal immediately is removed. So they have that as a blueprint, so that as it's happening, whatever scenario that they've built as it's happening, they know the solution to it. That is how you handle project management. And again, another thing if you're looking at is the money saved from fuel subsidy regime. Where is the money?
We understand that it's being distributed alongside monthly allocations to states and local governments.
Good. So if you have been allocated, if you have been given to, what do you call it, state government and all that, then we need to carry out the kind of exercise that was done during the Paris bailout fund. Show evidence of what you are using for the money. I mean, using the money for, or else you won't receive the next allocation. So Directive is the head of state. It has the power. If you can't show me what you are doing with the money we've remitted, then we are not getting the next allocation. Because to be fair to the government, if the money has been remitted to the state government and the state and everybody is where they are, then we have a very big problem. That's another layer of all this crisis. It's not about Tinubu alone. What are the state governors doing with their internally generated revenue? What are they doing with it? What are they doing with their monthly allocation? What are the senators doing in terms of the constituency allowance they are receiving? What is the local government chairman doing? What are the state House of Assembly member, House of Reps member doing? So all this blame need to be spread along. But you know, in our unitary system, everybody is just interested in the president alone, and those handling him too, they are not trying. Should be able to divert people's attention to their state government. They should be able to tell us what they are doing with citizens' money. Your state is doing well, and my state is doing well. Another state is doing well, we won't have any problem. Right. Just in Abia State now, they have their own independent power plant. In less than 9 months in power, they were sworn in by different, they were sworn in on the same day, and they are achieving that kind of result. Look at Niger State, for instance, now. They are going to launch, I think, the agricultural program tomorrow or so. The government of Niger State have imported several tractors and other agric equipment. So these are the indicators and indices that the citizens too, when they are complaining that the economy is not good, they should be holding their state government accountable to what are you doing with the allocation? What are you doing with our taxpayers' money? So if we balance it like that, the blame will not just be at the center alone.
I'd like to say a big thank you to James Ugochukwu, election analyst and good governance advocate, executive director, African Center for Entrepreneurship and Information Development, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's what we're leaving it, everyone, on the program. Thank you for watching Global Morning. Queen Agaba, my colleague, and I, we're grateful on behalf of everyone here at Global Television in Abuja for your time with us. Remember, the views of our guests are their opinions. I'm Uya Agumofwegwe. Stay with us.